All right, so today we just in class went over the idea of annotation. So for this homework assignment, you're going to need your color pencils. You need these 4 colors: blue, red, green, and orange, as we're going through the annotation. Also, please have your color charts about water conservation. So please have your charts out about water conservation, the inquiry charts that you were using in class that has water conservation as the topic, and then the 4 inquiry questions regarding water conservation. All right, once you have that, go to the article that was assigned for homework. All right, so Water Wars by Kurt R. Spillman. All right, so this article we're going to read, and we are going to underline information or evidence that answers any of the 4 questions or the 4 inquiry questions on our inquiry reference sheet. All right, just like we did in class. The only difference, we have a new article. Along with that, we're going to also apply the skill of quantitative and qualitative observation as well. Okay, so we're going to combine both at the same time. All right, so we're looking for any information that answers how much water is being overused and wasted, who is using the most water, that's our first inquiry in blue. Any answers to why our country is using so much water, that's our red. Any answers for how can we prevent countries in certain areas from overusing water, that's our green. Or why would the absence of water be harmful for our environment, that's 4. Okay. Now, where it says be harmful for our environment includes essentially, it includes vegetation, meaning plants, it includes our atmosphere, it includes animals, it includes us as individuals, as human beings that also are part of the environment, okay? I want everyone to be. So if you want to change environment, then to also focus on ecosystem, because that would make inquiry 4 more applicable, and it'll make it a little more general for the future. So here we go, let's start this together. I'm going to read the first sentence. Drinking water has become a scarce resource in many different regions of the world. Now, scarce meaning very or extremely limited. So already off the bat, reading that first sentence, I know, okay, that is not positive. If drinking water is extremely limited in certain regions of the world, those regions of the world are struggling with finding water. That's what that first sentence is saying. Now that is the first sentence of this paragraph, which I should think in the back of my mind now that this paragraph is going to be talking about how different areas of the world have a limited supply of drinking water, which is not good. So I might start looking at my questions. It's not telling me how much water is being overused. It's not so much talking about why are they using so much water. It's not talking about how we can prevent it, but it is discussing the dangers of overusing water. Because the dangers of overusing water is that there will not be drinkable water left for others. So already in the back of my mind, I might be saying a lot of the information in this paragraph alone may be answering my orange inquiry. So let's go to the next sentence. It says, right here, we'll start it today. It says that today, 1.7 million people in over 80 countries suffer from chronic or absolute water shortage, or at least from the constant stress of securing their daily water supply. So that's discussing already right now how many people are in need of water. So I'm going to take my orange, because I might want to use this for my research paper. And I might want to use this as evidence for this inquiry question in my research paper. So I'm going to underline this sentence in orange, because I want to use this to answer my orange question. Because my orange question, again, is talking about why would the absence of water be harmful. Right here, it's already harmful today because 1.7 million people over the world are struggling with just finding water to drink. And they have the constant stress. They have constant stress of finding water to drink. So already, right now, I already see the harms of not having enough water. So I'm going to, again, underline this in orange. And again, it's talking about 1.7 million people. It's giving me an exact number in 80 different countries who suffer from this problem. So I'm going to put quantitative, and I'll put quant for an abbreviation. Feeling of stress and emotion They have constant stress of securing their daily water supply, meaning they have constant stress of finding drinkable water. Stress, emotion is an example of quantitative or qualitative. Good, qualitative, because qualitative, again, your senses. 5 senses, right? Taste, smell, touch, sound, see. Sixth sense, we'll add emotion onto it as well. So you have the constant stress, describing the stress. It's a description of how they feel. So I'll put qualitative, I'll put qual right there. All right, so if I continue reading, it says, the United Nations has calculated that by the year 2025, 2/3 of humanity will suffer from water scarcity or even water deficiency. So again, it's showing the harms, showing why is it harmful if we run out of water. So now I'm going to look back on that. It says the United Nations has calculated that by the year 2025, that's a measurement of, yep, time, and yes, quantitative. So I'm going to take my pen or pencil, and I'm going to write quant. You can write either right above it. By the year 2025, again, measurement of time. 2/3, again, this is also quantitative right here. 2/3 of humanity will suffer from scarcity or even water deficiency. Some 300 of the world's rivers flow through 2 or more countries, and yet there's neither a strong international agency nor an internationally binding set of regulations governing the distribution of this water. Will wars over water dominate the 21st century, as World Bank Vice President Ismail Sirajdin predicted in 1995? Now, I'm not sure if I pronounced that name correctly. I doubt that I did. But what I want to focus on is, I may not use any of the information in here for my orange inquiry. Some 300 of the world's rivers flow through 2 or more countries, and yet there's neither a strong international agency nor an internationally binding set of regulations governing the distribution of this water. This might be a reason why water is being overused. So I'll take my red, because this is answering my red inquiry. And the reason why is because there is neither a strong international agency, organization, or an international binding set of regulations, laws, that are watching over people, using water from the rivers. So because there are no set laws or govern people watching over the rivers, people can use as much water as they want, which answers my second question. Why are countries using so much water? The answer, because no one is really watching over water as strictly as they should. So I could use that for my red. So see how I have my orange right here? And then along with my orange, I also have my red. Okay. According to the Comprehensive UN Report of February 4th, 1997, the worldwide supply of fresh water, already today over 40% of the world population is suffering from water scarcity. Again, talking about the dangers. So I might just take my orange, and already 40% of the world population is suffering from water scarcity. 40%. Now, the United Nations has calculated that by year 2025, 2/3 of humanity, right? 67% if you round up. So they're looking at an increase of 27% by the next 10 years. This situation will worsen since the world population is growing at a rate of 80,000 people per year, and water consumption has increased twice as much as population growth in recent decades. So I'll take the orange, because again, this is talking about why it's dangerous if we overuse water, because the population is growing at such a high rate. Now, in the same sentence, I may do this. I may take my red. Water consumption has increased twice as much as population growth in recent decades. So I might do the red because, again, my red inquiry is why are countries using so much water? Why are places using so much water? And this second half of this sentence here is answering that question, because the second half of the sentence is saying, well, it's possible because water consumption has increased due to population growth. So I could use the second half of the sentence in red. The improved standard of living and increased percentage of meat in diets and changes in the patterns of precipitation will lead to further scarcity. So again, I'm going to underline this in red because this is talking about why water is being overused. Improved standard of living. Yep. Qualitative is a description. We have a description as to the living standards, right? So the more money you start making, they're saying the more you will consume water. And then you have an increased percentage of meat in diets, and changes in the patterns of precipitation will lead to further scarcity. Changes in the patterns of precipitation is weather. All right, so yes, you're right. Quantitative at a rate of 80,000 people per year. You have quantitative right here. And then quantitative again. 40% of the world population. All right, so this is what I'm looking for, right? So you're going to underline the information that answers the inquiry question. So again, if the information is answering my fourth inquiry question, I'm going to underline it in orange. If it answered my second inquiry question, I'm going to underline it in red. If it's answering my first inquiry question, I'm going to underline it in blue. If it's answering my third inquiry question, I'm going to underline it in green. And again, please make sure that you are following quantitative or qualitative and identifying the two. All right, good luck with the rest of the assignment. For the rest of the assignment, please do exactly what is being shown in these paragraphs. All right, thanks. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me.